It's been a newsworthy week this week amongst the, unfortunately, all too common tragedies that seem to dominate our headlines. We had Pope Francis visit America. Fourth time a Pope has visited America. First time Pope has addressed Congress. The president of China was in town, causing all kinds of irritation for commuters in Seattle. Glad I didn't have to go that way, but I'm sure there was great benefit to that as well. But perhaps the biggest news of the week for us in the Northwest is that the boom is back in the Legion. And so I didn't completely discard the colors today, and so have those on. But Cam Chancellor, if you haven't heard, which is impossible, came back to practice this week. And whatever you feel about that, he's going to play today. And that knowledge that he's going to be there has seemed to increase more anticipation and excitement about today's game, even more than usual. And then people can't wait for the game to get started, which I suspect is where some people are today, because they just got to see the pregame show and hear all about that. So a lot of excitement about Cam being back today. And we'll get you out of here in time, at least to see the second half. Today we're going to be reading Psalm 122, and if you have a Bible with you, I encourage you to open that up. If you go to Psalm 118 is right smack in the middle, and so if you go to the middle Bible and turn right a little bit, you'll get there. And it's page 425 in the chair Bibles you have there, but Psalm 122. And it begins by somebody said to King David, the writer of the psalm, "Hey Dave, we're going to church. You want to come with us today?" And he responded probably like you would if somebody walked into church today and handed you a couple tickets to the Seahawks game today. You'd be pretty excited and you'd be ready to go. And so he starts off by saying, "I rejoiced with those who said to me, 'Let's go to the house of the Lord. Our feet are standing in your gates, Jerusalem.'" Jerusalem is built like a city that is closely compacted together. I mean, it was very crowded. That is where the tribes go up, the tribes of the Lord, to praise the name of the Lord according to the statute given to Israel. There stand the thrones for judgment, the thrones of the house of David. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you be secure. May there be peace within your walls and security within your citadels. For the sake of my family and friends, I will say, peace be with you. For the sake of the house of the Lord our God, I will seek your prosperity. The message today is whether the Seahawks are playing or not, or whether they're winning or not. As we saw in the thing, Sunday was meant to be the best day of your week. In your bulletin, again, there's a welcome card, there's a prayer card, there's a life group sign-up card, and there's some sermon notes. I encourage you to take those out. I should have a pen on there, and you can follow along if you like, or fill one of those out. We'll receive our offering a little bit later, and you can turn those in. I don't think it's any secret. We talked a little bit about last week, but most Americans acknowledge feeling stressed and pressured by the pace of life. And that seems to be creating an epidemic, if you will, of impatience. And we see it in lots of ways. But a couple of different ways that I found this week is that Google researchers, we all know Google, found that people visit websites less often if they're more than 250 milliseconds slower than a close competitor. 250 milliseconds. Over 1/5, Google also found this, of internet users will abandon an online video if it takes longer than 5 seconds to load. It's just think about how impatient we are if that's our measure. Psychologist Dr. Stephanie Brown wrote that we live under a weight of demands, real and imagined, that is debilitating. We see an alarming increase in stress-related disorders for all kinds of ages, beginning with elementary school-age children who are struggling with obesity, depression, anxiety, attention disorders, and all kinds of learning disabilities. A list of problems for all ages. The exhausting, fast pace of life promotes overstimulation and overscheduling, which becomes chronic stressors that lead to behavioral, mood, and attention disorders. We cannot see that we are causing our physical, emotional, and behavioral health problems as we try harder to go faster and then turn to medication to treat the unforeseen consequences. we also see changes in our attention and our thinking. Technological advances were supposed to free up creative thinking, but the mass of incoming information has actually eroded our attention and our creativity. People have less time to reflect on anything as they become dominated by a need to act, a need to be online, robotically always checking. Multitasking stimulates internal chaos and fragmented attention. People become scanners and decoders of information, cruising horizontally across the screen to pick up bytes rather than delving towards a deeper understanding. And maybe the biggest cost we've encountered already is the harm to human relationships. Instead of enhancing close bonds, technology has facilitated avoidance of direct person-to-person contact, which takes too much time. We maintain the illusion that we're connected more closely than ever by the number of Facebook likes we accumulate. But it's all fast, now, this instant. Everything is impulse. Our sense of connection exists in the action, not an accumulated, deepening experience. And maybe a little bit of that resonated with you and was true for you. Maybe a lot of it was. There's never enough time. I don't have time. I'm too busy. There's never enough time for family, never enough time for people we love and care about. There's not time to get the rest we need. There's not time for the things that we really want to do. With so much going on in our worlds, it's easy to lose sight of the things that really matter. And Sundays are part of God's solution to that. In Psalm 122, David gives at least 6 reasons that he enjoyed and we could consider attending church regularly. The first is he wanted to go to church because he liked being with God's people. He liked hanging out with people who liked God, who loved God, or were pursuing him. He just liked to be with people. Second thing is he wanted to honor God. He went to church to give thanks to God, to refocus his priorities. Third, he wanted to do what God told him to do. The biblical law told Israel, the people of Israel, that they were supposed to go to church. They were supposed to go to worship. They were supposed to go worship God. Fourth thing, he wanted peace. He wanted peace for those who love God. So he went to church to pray for them. And you can pray anywhere. There's something about when we get together and pray together. He wanted people to experience peace because he cared for them. 5, he wanted peace because God's people were his family and his friends. Verse 8, he says, for the sake of my family and my friends. And don't we all want the very best for those who are closest to us? And 6, he committed himself to the prosperity of the house of God. He knew that the church is essential to God's mission and work in the world. The themes of God's mission seem clear to us. It's love and reconciliation and resurrection. God, who created the world and all that's in it and all of us out of love, is working to reconcile all creation to that love. And that work requires resurrection to undo the death that has entered the world. If church is going to be part of this work, then we must learn together to practice love and resurrection and reconciliation, genuinely investing ourselves in that. We are called to be God's real presence, the church in the world, a radical, countercultural, and amazing call. Jesus said that Sundays were made for us. He said the Sabbath was made to meet the needs of people. The needs of people, and not to meet people to meet the requirements of the Sabbath. In the original Hebrew, Sabbath means to stop, to rest, or to keep. And we find its theological meaning rooted in God's rest at the very beginning of the Bible. By the 7th day, God had finished the work he had been doing, so the 7th day he rested. Then God blessed the 7th day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. God didn't rest because he was tired. God doesn't get tired. He rested because he knew we needed to rest. And he showed us how important it was by setting an example for us. And when God gave the 10 commandments to Moses, his 4th commandment was this: remember to observe the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath day of rest dedicated to the Lord your God. On that day, no one in your household may do any work. So here's some reasons from a personal experience that I think is true for me, and I believe true for you, of why it's important to invest in a Sabbath day. And for most of us, when we say Sabbath day, we mean Sunday. You may have work schedules that don't allow that to happen, but one day a week, and for most of us, again, that means Sunday. And I really step back and think about it. I need it. I mean, God knows I need rest, and that's why he rested, why he gave the commandment to rest. He wants to increase our joy, improve our life by giving us a day to rest, to refuel, and to refocus on him, because he knows we need it. And when I step out of my life for a minute, I know I need it too. The second part is that God tells me to do it. God in his commandment says, keep a Sabbath day, keep it holy, a day of rest. It's a commandment, it's not a suggestion, because again, how he loves us, he knows we need it. God blessed the Sabbath, number 3, for reasons only he fully knows. God says he blessed the Sabbath day. It's a special day. It's not an extra day. And when we participate in what God blesses, he blesses us. Number 4, my life goes better when I have a Sabbath day. You know, the culture would say that working longer hours, working 7 days a week is necessary to be. Have you seen that commercial on TV? And I can't even remember who it's for. But the guy leaves work and everybody kind of looks at him in there in the office building, and he gets in his car and leaves, and it says something about when did leaving work on time become countercultural? But that just struck me that way, because our culture says you need to work more and longer and more hours. But that's not how God created us. It's not how he wired us. The most prosperous fast food restaurant in the world is Chick-fil-A. No one makes as much money per location as Chick-fil-A. And they are closed on Sundays because the owners honor the Sabbath day. And God has chosen to honor their business. They make more money in 6 days a week than McDonald's, Subway, Burger King, Taco Bell do in 7 days per restaurant. Sunday was meant to be a day of rest. Secular sociologists have studied the benefits of regular church attendance. This is what they found. People who attend church regularly live 7.5 years longer than those who don't. And you say you don't have time to go to church. God gave you 7.5 years extra to go. You got to stop whining. No excuse. You can go. It's all right. People who regularly attend are 56% more likely to have an optimistic outlook on life than those who don't. 27% less likely to be depressed. 35% less likely to get divorced. People who regularly attend church have higher average levels of commitment to partners, higher levels of marital satisfaction, less thinking and talking about divorce, lower levels of negative interaction, achieve higher grades, practice better time management, and experience a better physical life. And who is married doesn't want that? Go to church. For no other reason, that's a good reason. These are secular studies. And this is one of many that show life tends to go better for people like David who get excited about God and go to church regularly. Certainly doesn't guarantee. It doesn't absolutely prevent divorce or disease or dysfunction or depression. Don't hear me saying that. There's people in church who have all of those things. But it does have a measurably positive, practical effect on our lives and on our living. Number 5, my Mondays go better when I Sabbath. They just do. You ever wake up on a Monday and you don't want to get out of bed? It's a Monday, do I have to get out of bed? maybe part of that becomes that we're tired and maybe we're unmotivated because we're so exhausted from being busy on Sunday. Rather than refocusing and refueling and refreshing and receiving new energy on a Sunday, we've just spent some more, and Monday comes and the tank is empty again. And my family does better when I Sabbath, when we take that time. True families, it's true. It's just true that families who rest together, who play together, who eat together, who spend time together, just do better. I'm a better family member when I'm rested and when I've taken time to refocus and prioritize my life. I have more energy for my family when I'm rested and take that time. This week, we're beginning I Love Sundays life groups. They start tomorrow night. There's a list of them in your bulletin. I encourage you to get involved. There's sign-up sheets. They'll be over before you know it. Encourage you to sign. If you've never been in one, it'll be okay. Okay? You don't have to know the Bible. They're not going to ask you to look something up. Nobody's going to ask you to pray out loud or sing some song. It'll be okay. Encourage you to sign up. There's several offered at different times, different days, different locations. Encourage you to take a step. Take a step. Sign up for that. Turn it in the offering later today, and a leader will get in touch with you and give you any more details, ask any information. So here's 3 application steps to how to make Sunday the best day of your week. Number 1, decide to let Sunday be the best day of your week. Seems simple, but at the end of Psalm 122, David decided to make a commitment to the prosperity of his faith community. For your life to improve, you have to make a decision to let it improve. You make the decision, and God will make the difference. Decide to start attending church regularly. Decide to make a commitment. Decide to get involved. Decide today to sign up for life group. Make a decision and choose that. Second is invest in your Sundays. Church is no different than anything else. To get something out of it, you have to put something into it. The Bible says where your treasure is, there is where your heart is also. So today, where is your treasure? Committing to I Love Sundays for the next 5 weeks is a great initial investment of your life. Third, take your next step, whatever that is. Whatever that is. Several years ago, a church sociologist went on and did a study of satisfied church members. And those church members have 6 things in common. They attend regularly. I've been beating that. You've heard that. They attend church regularly. They have a place that they serve somewhere in the church. They're investing in the community. They're not just taking something out of it. They develop at least 6 friendships with other members of the church. The best way to do that is get into a small group. You can make acquaintances on Sundays, just hard to build a deep relationship. Having their Facebook isn't the same thing. You have to get in a place where you're having a relationship, having coffee, those sorts of things with them. They call the church my church. It's not, I go to that church, I go to my church. We have some people have, I love my church shirts on. Love that. Wear them on Sundays, but wear them out there too. Let people know that. They give consistently to the church. We have things to give to God in worship: time, talent, touch, and tithe. And they give those things to the church. And number 6, they invite others to their church. We've been talking about that for several months. There's people in your life, extend an invitation to, invite them to come to an event, come to church on Sundays. If you're new, I would pick number 1 and start coming to church regularly. If you're already doing that, pick up one of the other action steps and doing that. Take your next step, make a decision, whatever that is. Sunday was meant to be, from the very creation of time, the best day of your life. It's not just because the Seahawks are going to win today that makes it the best day of your life. It's not because Cam is back. It's because you're choosing to follow God's example for you in the very beginning. You're choosing to follow God's command. You're choosing to receive God's gift for you and take the steps to make a change and submit the control of your life to Jesus, trusting in his love for you, that Jesus wants nothing but your best. And that's why Sunday should be the best day of your week. We're going to receive our offering in a few moments. I can encourage you to turn in those prayer cards, our welcome card if you filled that out. Your life group sign up. There's a place over here to sign up as well. And if you're a guest with us today as the offering basket is passed, I just encourage us to let that go. We're just glad that you're here with us today to be a part of this. God, we give you thanks for your word. We give you thanks for how much you love us, how much you care for us, and how you've set a model for us of resting. Lord, and I pray today, too, that we would choose you. We would choose your way, knowing that you love us, that we would follow those commands, that we need a day, and Sunday's a great day to make the best day of our week. And I pray for those who are struggling, who are feeling a little bit conflicted about that, who recognize that's going to take some tough decisions, some pretty drastic changes in lifestyle, pace of life. I just pray today that we would choose that. We would choose to make those tough decisions, to change our life, to follow you, because we know and trust that you have our best in mind. So bless us, Lord, as we make those decisions. Sustain us tomorrow when the realities of life come back and hit us. Help us to choose next Sunday to be the next best day of our week and the Sundays after that. And Lord, just pray that your Spirit would guide us and lead us. We give you thanks for this offering. We give you thanks for your generosity to us poured out, that we acknowledge everything we have is yours, only have it because you gave it to us. We give back now to you a token, symbolic gesture of what you've given to us, and pray your blessing upon it. Lord, that we would remember that we are all children of God, loved by you, cared for by you. And I pray that these gifts would be used to make that known in our midst and in the world out there.